Knock it off with the knockoffs. I don't carry knockoff purses. I don't wear knockoff shoes. And I certainly don't produce knockoff weddings, which is why I am here today to beg of you, please, knock it off with the knockoffs. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. My name is Andrea Eppolito, and I'm a Las Vegas-based wedding planner. We are here today celebrating life, luxury, and above all else, love. And I want to talk to you about the difference between inspiration and interpretation and a very derivative knockoff. The first is an essential element to being an artist, and the second absolutely disregards and disrespects the idea of art as a unique interpretation of someone's life experience. Earlier this week, a friend sent me a photo of a wedding that was produced here in Las Vegas by another wedding planner. It was very clearly heavily influenced by my now famous City of Oz emerald green wedding. And to say that it was heavily influenced is actually being very generous and giving the producer a lot more latitude than they deserve. Because the wedding was, in every sense of the word, a knockoff of what I originally did. Everything from the drape to the carpet to the tables to the shape of the centerpieces was incredibly derivative of the original wedding that I had designed and produced. Now, the first thing that the person who sent it to me was make a joke. And I needed to sit there with it for a minute and really think about how to explain the way that this makes me feel. The first thing that I thought when I saw the picture was like, wow, this looks like a budget version of my wedding. And the second thing that I did was laugh a little bit because while imitation is the seriousest form of flattery, it was funny because this particular team hasn't always been kind to me in the past. And so to see them so heavily influenced by my work did kind of give me a chuckle. But the third and the most important thing that I felt was sad, because I felt like the people who produced this should have done a much better job, and they really could have done a much better job of differentiating the inspiration to make it their own and to have it speak so much more personally to their clients. Now, as somebody who considers themselves a creative and as somebody who very much considers themselves an artist, I'm inspired constantly. I am absolutely inspired by other wedding planners and event designers from all around the world. I am heavily influenced by architecture, interiors, specifically what I see happening in luxury hotels. I'm inspired by art, and by that, canvas, sculpture, celluloid, movies. My clients are very heavily influenced by pop culture and celebrity. And all of these elements converge and meet up somewhere in the space between my head and my heart and the piece of paper that is ultimately modified and edited and manipulated until it becomes something new. And my hope is that if you were to really sit and study my work, you may be able to identify different elements and different pieces that I've pulled into the process, but nothing should ever look like a copy. It certainly shouldn't look like a replica. And at times when I'm designing, I will fall into that trap where I'm like, wow, this is really derivative. And then I have to go back to the drawing board. I have to sharpen my pencil and I have to change things again and again and again until it's not only unique to the client, but to the space that I believe I occupy in the industry. That's inspiration. That's taking the world and bending it to my will and coming back with something that is specific for one client. Even though the work is there for the world, in this moment, it is about me speaking to the person that I have designed for. And I do not believe in designing in a vacuum. And I don't believe in creating art that is sheltered and that doesn't get to be seen. I want to put things out into the universe. And I want them to be broken apart and then put back together in interesting and unique ways, because when I influence the world changes it and it comes back and it influences me. That's the exciting part of the transfer of information of what we do. But that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is a knockoff, and knockoffs make me sad for so many reasons. Number one, if you are a wedding planner or an event designer or any kind of creative, and you present yourself to the world as a creative, then the minute that you knock off someone else's work, you are breaking the most basic promise that you make, which is that you're going to create. To present yourself as creative when all you're doing is being repetitive of somebody else's work, it's such a smack in the face to the industry. And it disrespects the fundamental reason that your clients have come to you. Clients come to you because they want something unique, because they want you to tell their story. They're coming to you because they need to take all the things in their head and make sense of it and put it out into the world so that the world becomes a more beautiful place. And when all you do is knock off the work that somebody else has done, what you are saying to your clients is that they are not unique, that they do not deserve better, that they don't need better. You're saying that close enough is good enough, which it never ever is, which brings me to my second point. A knockoff is never as good as the original. And I'm going to say that again. A knockoff is never as good as the original. A knockoff will never surprise and delight people because they've seen it before. A knockoff is never going to move people emotionally because they've already been in that emotional space. A knockoff isn't going to dare people to ask questions or to take risks because a knockoff is the exact opposite of a risk. A knockoff is the safest place that you can be because it's been tried and true. And ultimately, it's boring and it's dull. And no matter how much your client loved the original, the knockoff will always fall flat. And the third issue that I have is that being a business rooted in knocking off other creations does create confusion for the clients. Couples go online, they see a knockoff, especially like a decent knockoff, like one of those passable Chanel or Gucci knockoffs that you may buy overseas, and it looks decent enough online. And so they go to your website or they go to IG and they read the copy, and in their head, they think that they are hiring an artist when really what they're doing is renting a Xerox machine. And when that happens and then the work falls flat, the client gets disappointed and ultimately the entire industry suffers. Now, the last and final thing that I want to say is a lot of people expect me to be mad when my work is knocked off. And the truth is I'm not. There are a lot of commodity businesses out there that make a lot of money knocking off other people's art. Zara, Guess, H&M specialize in kind of quickly turning out couture pieces and making them accessible for the masses, and it's great. But in the creative space, replicating the work of another is just not a sustainable business plan, and none of the businesses that replicate the work of others are ever going to grow to surpass the original. If you are out there and you're doing great work, then know that at some point someone's going to copy you to an extent. Know that that work is a part of your past, it's a part of your portfolio, and it's behind you, and you can't be mad at another person or another business that's behind you. But if you are behind, if you're struggling to find your identity as a stylist and as a designer and as a creative, I encourage you to do this. Pull together the elements of the work that you love and then make a change to each and every one so that your work is markedly different. You have to take these things in stride. You have to figure out what it is that you like about the work and what it's saying to you, and then you have to see the world through your own eyes. You have to have the guts to take the risk to create something that hasn't been seen before. That is how you create art. That is how you make the world a more beautiful place, and that is what we are here to do together. My name is Andrea Eppolito, celebrating life, luxury, and above all else, love, and I really want to hear from you. How do you feel about wholly original creations, and how do you feel about knockoffs? And is good enough ever good enough? We'll talk about that again soon. Until next time,